safe at home, and I hope you will enjoy this presentation. I also hope that my English will be good enough to explain you in a good way my family and the history of our family and the company. I like to start from this sentence of an author of books about spirits and cocktails that I know very well, Mr. Brett Thomas Parson, who in one of our meetings say that bartenders look continuously for new products, but they want products with an history and see people behind the label. I like this sentence because I think it's perfect for us because today many products are built by the marketing, and behind the labels of our products there are faces, which are the faces of my family, and there is a big history because this year we will be 150 years old in September. Probably we will have the worst anniversary ever with this pandemic, but we will see. We still hope to have some parties to celebrate. For this history, we need three ingredients. The first ingredient is the place of the history, and the place here is our city, which is Ascoli Piceno. Here there is a picture of a skyline. My city, Ascoli, is also called the 100 Towers city because there are a lot of old medieval towers. We need a family, which is who is the author of the history. Here in this picture, you can see the founder, the guy is seated. 3 generations of my family. I am the 5th generation, and the first 3 are in this picture. So the founder seated, his son, my great-grandfather, standing, holding his daughter, and of course my great-great-grandmother and my great-grandmother. And we also need a taste, which is a taste, but also a perfume. And our history has the taste and the perfume of the anise. Usually, each historical company was born with a signature product that made the success of the business. And our signature product is an anisette. So all our story has the perfume of the anise, green anise, not star anise. We will see it later. So if you put together all these 3 ingredients, you have our company and our story with this product here, which is the very first product that we made in the 1870. It's still our best-selling ever in Italy, and not abroad, because abroad is our Amaro. But the product we are famous for. And as you can see, this is one of the oldest bottles that we have. We never changed the label. So let's start. Where is Ascoli Piceno? Where does our story start? Ascoli is a small town in the red dot that you can see in the middle Italy, East Coast. So just a little bit after Rome, but on the east side. In the Marche region, the orange region is the Marche region that you might probably know for the Verdicchio wine, which is very famous abroad. We also have very good wines, red wines from Ascoli. We are just in the border with the Abruzzo region. Our city is very beautiful, very old. It's a Roman city, older than Rome, with a lot of medieval buildings, and the stone that we use for many buildings is the travertine, which is a white stone. So many buildings were made with this stone, and they all look like white, very beautiful. We start here, Ascoli Piceno, in the second half of the 19th century, with this guy here, which is my great-great-grandfather. My great-great-grandfather, Silvio Meletti, was born in a simple family. His mother and dad, they ran a grocery store where they sold many products, and in these products they also sold a distillate of anise. that they used to do mother and dad together. Unfortunately, my great-great-grandfather lost his dad when he was very young. But he grew up with this passion and art, because distilling it's an art. And he got passionate into this art. He watched his mother distilling, making these spirits, mostly with anise. So he wanted to discover more. He fell in love with this art. He wanted to learn more and improve the knowledge that his mother passed to him. So he started studying about distillation, and he studied this particular book that we still have. My grandfather used to keep it in a safe for how important he considered this book. This book is from 1774, as you can see. I don't know if you can see the arrow. 1774. It's in French, and it's a book about the distillation. There is another book like this one, the same in the Library of the Congress in Washington, D.C. This is a book about distillation, and my great-great-grandfather studied this book and started making experiments with the knowledge of his mother and with the knowledge that he kept from this book. He made some experiments, and finally he arrived to a special recipe and a special producing process that created a particular product, which is our still best selling product, the Anisetta Meletti. Our story starts here. These are the oldest bottles that we have. We have just 2 bottles from the 1880. This is how everything started. He starts to make this product, start selling in our city, and he had a very quick, very fast success. He improved very fast in our city and in our region. The product had a huge success in the market. So fast that, and here we can view of the person in the, I repeat, in the second half of the 19th century. He thought big. So he wanted to show his product in an important fair. And in 1878, he went to Paris for an international fair. Imagine somebody leaving from Ascoli Piceno, which is a place in nowhere today. Imagine in the second half of the 19th century, start from here with no cars. We didn't have the train station at that year, and go to Paris, where there was not the Eiffel Tower, that my great-great-grandfather will see at the end of the 19th century, because he will come back and win again important awards in that fair. So I often think about my grandfather going there and see the Eiffel Tower for the first time. But in the 1878, he went there. He arrived. He was able to arrive in Paris. He brought with him an anisette, our anisette, a couple of Amaro, a vermouth that he made, and some other spirits. And he won an award, his first fair. So I also imagine the happiness of this guy coming back to Ascoli from Paris with an award. And the medal that you can see in the picture is actually the medal that he won that we still have in our company. His success was so fast that the year after, in the 1879, he received probably the most prestigious recognition that a company could have at that time, which was become official supplier of the Italian crown. At that time, we had the king until the Second World War, and have this recognition from the king was something unbelievable. Was the maximum that somebody could hope, and it meant that the company was able to show the king emblem in all the labels, in all the postcards, the advertising, in all the letters, everywhere. We were able to show the king emblem. That meant that we were an official supplier of the Italian crown, and we still have some documents who are the orders coming from the king to our company. We started winning awards in 1878, but we won in many fairs. We had tens of these awards, but we didn't finish in 19th century because, for example, our Amaro won an award in 2018 in California, the Ultimate Spirit Challenge as a best Amaro in the category of the Amaro. And this is a picture with my brother and my sister last December, so 5 months ago. The Association of the Foreign Press in Italy, so all the journalists not Italian who work in Italy, they make every year an award for they call it Taste, which would be basically food and wine. And we won this award as a historical company for 2019. So again, go back to the 19th century. The business grew very fast, so that my grandfather, great-great-grandfather, had to start to open the first factory. This picture is a picture from the 1880s. So it's our very first factory, the first distillery. And it's funny, also a nice picture, because you can see people here, everybody is looking at the camera. And this guy here is not moving. The horse, as you can see, is not moving. Imagine taking a picture in the 80s of the 19th century. They didn't have reflex cameras, they didn't have the iPhone. So nobody had to move to take a good pic. So everybody is not moving, and they're all watching the camera. So I imagine somebody's shouting, don't move, I'm going to take a picture. And we know that at that time, we were distilling alcohol, we were distilling grappa, we were distilling, of course, our anisette, and other liqueurs, fruit liqueurs, always distillate. So the tradition and the knowledge that we have today about distillation arrive from that period. We have a very, very long tradition. It's funny that we made grappa. We don't make grappa anymore, but we have the documents that show that we produced grappa at that time. And we also have a bottle of grappa, actually two, but this one is the only one with the date, which is part of my father's personal collection. So I asked him to take a picture, because today we cannot leave the houses. Grappa Meletti from 1889. In the Museum of Grappa in Northern Italy, they say that the oldest grappa they have is from the 1880, but it's not a branded grappa. So there is a bottle, but they don't know who made it. This one could be the oldest, probably in Italy, that we took at home. I mean, it's how many years? 131 years old. Unique, and it's full. It's full. It's full of liquid. We have a letterhead dated 1889, where you can see, for example, so the emblem of the king here, and also that we were producing vermouth in that time. The founder of the company was a genius in many things. It was a genius also in marketing. He, if you see the history of our company, you can see the history of the communication in Italy, probably worldwide. He made the first advertising. This is not the oldest that we have, but this one was probably the nicest among the oldest. At the end of the 19th century, so in the newspapers, he started making advertising Anisetta Meletti and Italian Meletti liqueurs. Also, some other advertising in newspapers of the beginning of the 20th century. My company had in the past some contacts with the best Italian designers for advertising. Some of them are the most famous in the world. Ludovic, which is the author of this beautiful poster here, made posters for all the biggest companies in Italy. But we have so many posters. I put here only a few, but we have tens of them in our collection. And you can also see the genius of the founder of the company with another very important thing that he made. He left to not only to our family, but to the city, which is the Caffè Meletti, this building here. This building is one of the 5 probably most elegant cafe in Italy. My great-grandfather bought the building in 1904 for something like, today would sound like $12, $13. Restyled all the building, and he saw the Art Deco, who was very popular in Northern Europe, and he wanted to bring to Ascoli this style. So made this cafe totally in Art Deco. The newspapers of that time say that Silvio Meletti was building a cafe for a European capital, not for a small town like Ascoli. Ascoli today has only 50,000 people, so you can imagine. And I want to bring you to my city. So let's see if it works. So that you can see. Allora. I got lost, Just 1 second. So I want to bring you into the main square of our city. So you should be able to see, this is the main square of Ascoli. For size and architecture, this is considered one of the most beautiful squares in Italy. We have many beautiful squares in Italy, but this one is very big and very beautiful. I suggest you to come here, so you can see very old churches, this medieval building, and here in the corner there is the cafe, where I will bring you now. This is the Caffè Meletti. So you can see all in Art Deco. The cafe was opened the 18th of May 1907, and it's still exactly like that year. So tonneau chairs, everything is made by wood, Art Deco anywhere, even on the roof. You can see the decorations, the chandeliers. Today, the symbol of the cafe is this cage with a little bird inside. And it's funny because it was a gift from my great-grandfather to my grandfather after a trip to Austria. He brought it home, and they put it in the cafe because they used to live in the last floor of the building. And today is the symbol of the cafe. And here is the bar. So I suggest you to come here to see Ascoli, which is very beautiful. Let's go back to the presentation. Joe, is it working? I hope I speak alone, but I hope it's working.
Yes, it is still working.
Okay, good. So let's go forward. We also had Dustin Hoffman who visited Ascoli because he participated to a movie, and they made some scenes into the Caffè Meletti. So the business was going well. See this factory very well because there is also a cool story about it. My great-grandfather changed it factory. He moved to a factory close to the train station. This is the bottling line at that time. We are speaking about the early of the 20th century, so 1910 basically. This is the bottling line. You can see people closing the bottles here, the cork, and then somewhere they put the labels, probably here. Then packaging the bottles and put in these cases by wood. The warehouse for the full bottles, the alembic, so the distillation room, some other rooms, warehouse, the shipping department. And we are in the 20s. In the 20th of September 1920, the company turns 50 years old, and this is the bottle of the celebration of the 50 years. So 50 years of the company, and you can see 20, these are Roman numbers, 20 of September 1870, 1920. In 1934, we made the first shipment to the States, the 31st January 1934. So should be more or less something more than 1 month after the end of Prohibition. We shipped 100 cases of anisetta to the States. It's funny because we have all the letters that were written in our company. They are in hundreds of books that we have in our company. We have one of the biggest company historical archive in Italy, so probably in the world. And in one of these letters, when my great-grandmother wrote to the new American importer, it's funny because she said that you can use anything we give you, the posters, the pictures, but this picture of the factory, because we think that in the States, it's important, are important big factories, and we consider our company small, so we prefer not to show the factory because it would not fit for the American mentality. I don't know if she was right, but I think it's funny even imagining how to match the American mentality with a picture of the factory. Of course, we participate to many fairs. I have hundreds of these pictures. We don't have time. This is a picture that I love because it's in one of the movies from the 50s. They speak about the anisette and they show our bottle, which is on the right, and the lady on the left is Sophia Loren. I'm sure that you know. So very, very sexy, both for the lady and the bottle. Today we also are in some movies. This is Orange is the New Black, and last month when they started the new the episodes of Hunters in Amazon Prime, there is a bottle of Amaro Meletti in Hunters. The bottle has always been the same, so you can see these are bottles more than 100 years old. These are bottles from the 70s. The only different bottles that we have, the shape is this one, which is a bottle from the Second World War, because in that time it was not easy to find glass. So the law allowed companies, distilleries to bottle bottles of beer that Americans and British soldiers and Canadian soldiers brought to Europe. This is a bottle of beer brought by the Allied to Italy. And so basically they clean these bottles and they bottle the liquor in an American bottled beer bottle. Sorry. In the years, of course, we made many products. Some of them we still make, and others are disappear. Some are disappear, and then we restarted producing, like the Fernet, for example. All these recipes, or many of these recipes, were in this book. This is the book of the founder, the book that the founder left to his son, my great-grandfather. And in this book, he wrote all the notes and the recipes, very important, but also the tips to make good spirits. They are all in this book, and he wrote it personally. So we can see, for example, the recipe for the vermouth, the recipe for the extract of Fernet, the extract, which means because when we make the infusions, we have a concentrate, basically, that then becomes the liqueur, adding water and sugar and other ingredients if the recipe needs other ingredients. So in fact, page 9, extract of Fernet, page 10, Fernet, how to make Fernet, starting from that infusion. And at the end of the page of that page, there is a review. So June 1888, my great-grandfather changed some ingredients in the recipe of Fernet. This is where we started to make a modern, to remake the Fernet. So in this book, there are the tips and the suggestions and also the rules to make our spirits. How do we make spirits? Basically in 3 ways, by distillation, by infusion, or by blending. By distillation, the most important, of course, are the anise-based liqueurs. And speaking about anise, this is a field near Ascoli. So we grow only green anise. We don't have star anise because star anise is from Asia. Green anise, and these are the fields near Ascoli. we have deals with farmers. This guy works for us. Has been working for many years now. So the green anise was very popular, very common in the 19th century, and then it totally disappeared because it was not economical convenient to grow. So in the last years, we have to find anise somewhere else. In the last years, we have been doing some contracts, some deals with farmers. We pay them the anise 4 or 5 times more than the average of the market, so that it's convenient for them to grow, to make a lot again the anise. Also because the soil of the Marche region and Ascoli in particular is particularly good for the anise. So we're making these deals to restart and rebring home some plants like the anise, which is the most important for us. When you see the flowers, it's because it's the floral period. So the green anise, you have to start seed in March. In June, there is this floral period, and then in August, the plant is ready for the harvest. When you have the harvest, you take the single plant, not all in the same moment, because the green anise is a very difficult plant because they don't arrive to the maturation altogether. So you have to understand which are the mature the plants ready to be picked, and then we have a dry period, which is more or less 1 month. Where the plant must become dry, so not fresh, not fresh, basically. Here there is my father in the picture, so they are checking how is the anise. And then after this period, so basically usually in September, we can take the seeds. They are very small, and these are the ingredients for the distillation. Distillation. This is the design of the distillator that I showed you before, the original that we still have, and this is the distillator with me, so you can see it's all made by copper, and it's all handmade. Here we remove the bricks, but you can see in the draft that there were some bricks because we had to put the fire below the distillator. And here there are 2 cameras, you can see, because in the first one they put some water. The fire here made the water boiling, and the hot water made the alcohol here with the seeds boiling. Why this? Because this one was designed by the founder of the company. Because in this way you reduce the risk of burn the seeds. If you put the seeds and the alcohol directly here in contact with the fire, then it's it's more difficult because there always is the risk to burn the seed. And then the distillate at the end, and you will know only at the end, will taste of something burned. And you have to waste all the production. Today, the distillator is a little bit different. We don't use the fire, but we use the hot vapor. And so the ability of the master distiller is regulate the temperature and the pressure. Here in this tank here, we put the seeds here. It's like an Italian coffee machine, for example. We put the seeds and the alcohol. Then we have the hot vapor, who makes everything boils. The vapor passes here, where there is this tank is full of cold water, and inside the vapor is cooled back in liquid state. It would be easier with the video, of course. The picture is not very nice, I know. This is the alembic that we're using, new alembic for us. It means from the 70s. We have more than one. We also have, of course, the infusions. These are the ingredients for the Amaro. How does the infusion work? We have a particular tank just for the infusions. So you will see the picture of the infusions for the Fernet. In the middle of this tank, there is a grill with holes so that the alcohol can move and go from the down to the top, no? And we can move the alcohol. and in the middle we put the ingredients, so they don't move, and all the alcohol can keep the fragrances. You can see here when we remove the alcohol, so when we remove the liquid, we have the infusion, and then these are the ingredients with after the infusion, and we press them like with wine. We press them so that we can keep the most of the alcohol and the most of the fragrances that we can have from them. And then, of course, there are blends. Blends is I don't have a picture to show you. It's basically when we mix only the ingredients, and the example is the chocolate. This is the cocoa. We use pure cocoa, Dutch dark cocoa, and we blend with milk, water, sugar, and alcohol. So we shake it a lot, and we create the creamy liqueur that you find, you can taste in the bottle. Very important for all of them. After we produce the liquor, we have some aging period for some spirits. For example, the anisette, we age it at least 6 months now, and then we have the filtration. How do we filter the spirits? In a very traditional way. This is the old filter made by copper. The new one is made by steel. We pump the liquid here in this tank, and then by gravity, the liquid passes through these filters here, where there is the filter, where there are the filters, and then go to the bottling line, which is very modern. So even this step, the step of the filtration, we need a person there just doing this. It's very slow. I mean, we could go faster with the electronic machines, but it's the best way to keep all the fragrances in the liqueur. So that's why we keep on doing this in the traditional way. Very important. We are certified for food safety. So everything that I told you is certified by an external company that can say that we use all the processes to guarantee very high standards of quality and safety to our customers. Thank you. That is a very quick, very fast presentation about our company and other products.
Matteo, thank you. That was incredible.
So 35 minutes. You told me. Sorry, I took too long.
Close enough. So we have a question from Stefano. It's will you be making a special bottle, either label or design, for the 150th anniversary this year?
So we had an idea. As you can imagine, all our ideas for the anniversary are now uncertain. But we had big plans. We thought to make a special edition for the 150. So let's see. Everything is scheduled for the second part of the year, so we are still on time. I don't want to say anything because Italians are scaramantic, superstitious, but we had an idea. Yes.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed then. Yeah,
So,
if anyone else has questions, feel free to use the raised hand function or just type them in.
everybody's shy.
Apparently, everyone is very shy.
Maybe they fell asleep.
It was a great presentation.
Grazie, thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much. If you have any question, if you have any question to everybody, you can email me export@meletti.it, and I will be more than happy to answer.
So we had 2 questions here. The difference between Zambuca and Anisette.
I was expecting this question. So I can see I found the place where there are the questions. Very quick. So the Sambuca is a regulated product, regulated by European Union. So we have to follow strictly rules about the percentage of the alcohol, the sugar, the ingredients, and from the flavor profile is just anise based directly, very powerful. Very strong. Anisette is more gentle, more elegant. There are more ingredients distilled. Actually, in the anisette, we distill more. We have a second distillation that we call aroma, where we distill the secret ingredients of the formula, and it's a family recipe. So it's the recipe that my great grandfather left to his son, that arrived to us today. So it's more unique and more, how can we say, artistic. I mean, not standardized product. More complex also from the flavor profile. Do you use coloring your product natural? We use some dyes for the limoncello that we ship to the States, not from the one we use in Europe. The reason is that the color of the limoncello changes very quickly. So I remember the first years, if the natural color of limoncello, when it arrives on the shelf, it's not very good looking because it changes very quickly, especially with the light. So that is why also mostly companies are using coloring for the limoncello.
Correct. And if I could jump in there, the companies that don't use coloring for their limoncello use propylene glycol to keep the coloring. So they're still adding stuff. They just don't have to disclose it.
I'm reading the question. Single cocktail recipe, any kind, from the spirits guide of my great grandfather. No, not cocktails, just recipes of spirits, but not cocktails.
Jeff Wentang, I see you raised your hand, so you can go ahead and unmute yourself here.
All right. Hey, Matteo. Hey, brother.
Yes.
The difference, I guess, with being Fernet and Amaro.
Oh, yes. I see there is a question also.
Yeah.
I'm reading the question now. I discover I'm late. This is an interesting question. So basically, there is not a real hello, yeah, a real definition for Fernet. And we can say that Fernet is into the world of the Amaro. Fernet is a particular category of Amaro. I think that the best way to guess it is is to taste. No, you can easily understand the flavor profile in a Fernet in the Fernet side, but there is not a real rule. It's not written anywhere when a spirit is called Fernet. For us, I mean, for Italians, it's natural to. I think we are probably unique for the palate, so to guess a category for a spirit. But unfortunately, I don't know how to answer with the rules because there are no rules. It's when usually it's more than 40% alcohol, and with some ingredients particularly strong, so that you can feel in the palate that kind of product. But I think I'm not able to explain better the difference. I'm sorry, that was a bad explanation, I know. Do your spirits evolve over time and change, or they consistent regardless of age? This is another interesting question. So the spirits, some of them, they evolve. And this one is it's a characteristic that we can find in all the distilleries. Usually they have to match the current taste of the market. Some of them, they never change. For example, our anisette. With the anisette, an interesting example is that, for example, the dry anisette is a consequence of the changing of the taste in the market. People wanted more dry products, so the classic anisette created the dry anisette, and we kept the two products separated differently. Some other products just changed. For example, the Amaro is an example. If you taste, we made some tests. If you taste an old style Italian Amaro, and we made with the original recipes from that book, so the Amaros from the 19th century, it's something that you cannot drink today because they are very, very bitter, very aggressive. Today's taste is something smoother and easier to drink. Also easier to mix because today the Amaros are used a lot in mixology, so they cannot be so overpowerful. What is the alcohol in the chocolate? Is it just natural grain spirits? Yes. No more question. I think I answered all the questions.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think the question is, what is the base spirit in the Chocolato?
Yeah, it's a neutral spirit. So basically, unless you produce whiskey or grappa or cognac, you have to buy the base spirit. We buy a very high quality spirit coming from molasses or neutral grain, mostly molasses. So it's a totally neutral spirit, which is almost 100% alcohol, who doesn't have any taste or coloring or totally neutral.
What are the conditions of the rooms for the drying?
So they usually they have to be as you say, fresh and dry. So the humidity is more important, not so much the temperature. It doesn't have to be humid. And also in the period where this work happened, which is usually mid or the end of August, in Italy is very dry. So they keep the anise plants in a dry room. And usually, if you saw in the presentation with the open windows, that was an old house with open windows so that the air can circulate. That is very important.
Great. Well, I think that that's the last of the questions. Matteo, I really want to thank you for doing this. An absolutely incredible presentation. If anyone thinks of any additional questions, you can feel free to email me or your O-Pee-Chee representative or Matteo. I want to thank all of you for your time during this. And hopefully we do this again soon. Thank you, Matteo.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ciao, bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, Matteo.
Ciao, Matteo.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao Matteo, grazie.
Ciao, thank you.